Welcome to another install from Gear Junky. Basically today we're going to be doing a fender eliminator. Basically don't like this one. That's just my opinion. I think it's going to probably be something I'd probably actually rip off the bike if I ever did anything too crazy. So I don't even want it to be, out there. This fender I got looked pretty strong. The brackets seem pretty nice, so we go over that anyway. It might not be your bracketry that you'd want to go with, but most of the stuff I'm going to be doing today is going to be shown as probably most installs are going to go, because you're going to have to get into the removing the wires and almost any install kit, depending on if you're going to cut them here or not. You're still going to have to get into the wiring. But what I did is I got a full wiring harness kit for the system I've got going on here. The kit I bought has long enough wires, and I bought the factory connectors to go with the kit. It actually comes as an option when you order it from Moto, which good shout out to them. Again, they are very quick with their shipping for me. I had no problems whatsoever having them get the parts out to me right away, which was awesome. I mean, they just sent it out to me the next day. I ordered it like midnight. I swear, I was like contemplating what I wanted to get, and this popped up, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do the fender eliminator, and boom, it was in shipping like the next day. No, very quick, didn't have to wait 6 to 8 days for the shipping to come out of the factory. No, boom, right there, and I had it within the week. So I actually could have got this video done sooner, but I was out riding. But today it is very crappy out and raining, so we're in the shop. So we'll get this done. All right, I bought the DRC hardwire edge aluminum holder kit. Now that's what I just decided to go with. You could go with a bunch of different ones. I also went with the taillight processors from 12 O'Clock Labs, which transforms this to like almost double the brightness, and it gives you a few other options depending on how you want to wire up these. You can make them into a bunch of different system and modes and stuff like that. So basically this is going to be a upgrade to this, but pretty much the light, this whole kit stays pretty much the same with the bracketry. It's just I'm just changing the board for the lights to be double the brightness. I guess that's kind of what I ended up going with. I also bought the WR250X and R rear connector kit, which gives me the, I believe this is the brake light, tail light, and also the directional connectors. These connectors are pretty much going to be put directly onto these wires, and I'm just going to run these lights exactly where the factory went, and it's going to just plug right back into the original connectors, and that'll good. I'm just take these off, and hopefully these should be long enough to make it, and they'll go directly into the factory wiring, and I don't even have to cut those like I did with the Zeta kit earlier, because I didn't realize they had a kit for the wiring. So this is just pretty much going to be a factory connector that is going to be on the new wiring harness that comes with the kit. So it's just going to be a plug and play when I get everything connected up where I want it. Bracketry and everything looks pretty simple, nothing too major there, and it's pretty solid. I haven't took it out of the package yet, but I was just kind of filling with it. We'll get that out there pretty soon. These are Moto LEDs. The LED kit is the flexible light, so it has a little bit of flex to it. If it ever gets hit, it's going to, deflect a little bit, so it's not going to actually just break right off. They do make a solid kit too as well. You can get them from them. These are ultra bright LEDs. I got them with the clear lenses, figuring it was going to be the greatest brightness in the back for where I really want it. Just everybody see. That's why I got the extra bright tail light processor and everything as well. So all in all, it comes with everything you need to put this kit together. But I'm going to go with the factory wiring harnesses instead of the connectors this time, which has little rubber connectors to insulate it and everything. So you should be pretty much all set to just plug and play when you get everything connected. For the most part, this is my kit. This actually is a full kit right here, so you can actually just buy just the edge aluminum holder. You don't need the processor to make this work. Obviously, this is just an upgrade. This isn't actually necessary, but this is the red lens. It only comes in red and smoked. I got the red. I don't know if it was even legal to have the smoked here, so I just want the standard red, and it's going to look fine. It's not the clear. I know I would have gone clear if I could, but I think it would have been almost way too bright with this one here anyway. So I just got the extra bright LED processor, and that should take care of it. All in all, it wasn't too expensive for these lights and everything, but it's your choice whether or not you even want to go this route. Change out the lights, but these should fit back factory with these connectors. So if you're going to get any of these, you can always buy just a factory connector kit like this, and it'll plug right back in to any LED And actually, let me just pull this out so you can see the brackets. They're really pretty tight brackets. They're pretty lightweight. They're aluminum. They're pretty solid. They're just going to fit up there pretty much like this. And it does give it a little bit of a tilt to the plate, which should still be pretty visible. But everything's going to bolt up pretty much to this, and it goes right up there. And it's not a lot of bracketry to it, so it should be very solid once you get the plate on there, and holds it on there pretty well. And just like the other one, it only holds the plate on the top part, but it's got a pretty good spot for the plate to, you know, grab to, and it's not plastic like the other one was, so it shouldn't just snap off. Those are all the hardware and everything you need right here, but for the most part, I'm going to be removing the wiring from this, but it does come with the full wiring as you need here, and spacers and other parts and directions, which is always a plus. But yeah, that's just going to mount up to this here, and be your rear light. Oops, sorry, I have it upside down. And it's going to be also your 3 LEDs for license plate light, just in case you're questioning whether or not this has the full everything you need for the license plate light and everything. So that's it, and we'll get right back to you once we get everything else apart. All right, this is how it comes off. Obviously, you get your 2 side covers off. Very simple. This is your main brain here. It just has an elastic band that holds it right in place here, and it just pulls off like that. Don't need to disconnect it. Shouldn't have to even get anywhere involved with this, so all the wiring is away from here. You don't have to even disconnect it. But the tail, after you get the 2 10mm bolts out here, just pulls straight out off like that. It just hooks in right here and here, so that's it. And then all your wiring is right here. Now take note that it comes around here like this, 4 wires, obviously 2 directionals, brake light, tail light, and license plate light. That's 4 wires because the brake light and tail light are together. But you get 2 zip ties here and here, factory connector that you should be able to split apart without breaking if you're careful, another zip tie, and another factory connector. And the bundle here is where all your wires come in. I believe this is the tail light here, and brake light, and these are your directionals, and all your other connections for the lights are all in here. So once you disconnect this, you should be able to slide this plastic piece wherever you need, and that kind of protects it, so I'd reuse that again. But we're going to be eliminating this all as one unit, and we'll just cut these wire connect ties. One here, one here, and one here. Shoot. It comes with, in the kit I got, and a bunch of different wire ties, so if you don't have extra wire ties in your place, they do come with it. Now, you should be able to just pop these pretty simply just with a screwdriver. I'll have to get mine. Well, maybe I could do it with my fingers. Nope, doesn't look like it will be. All right, let me get a small screwdriver for that, and we'll get that out of the way. Way too big. Yeah, there we go. A little tiny screwdriver like this should work. Just be careful. You don't have to kill it. They just pop apart. They don't need to be manhandled. They're only plastic. There we go. That comes off like that. And same with this one. This top piece just pops right like that, and there you go. Then all your wires are loose, and this should slide wherever you need, and there we go. I'm not sure which one does what, but again, we have our test light. We can test later on to figure that one out. This yellow connector, I'm thinking, is for the tail light. Now, same thing, these are color coded. It won't be as color coordinated because the other connections are both just black, but that doesn't really matter to me here. I just want to disconnect all these just as they are. So these are going to be, just pull up a little bit with the tab, and they should just pull right out, no problem. The ones I got in the kit are just both black, but this should be just as simple enough to eliminate. Yeah, let's see, that's perfect. And push down on that tab, and it should, there we go. All right, perfect. So this is your entire wiring for the rear. Just 4 plugs, that's it. And again, one of these, I believe it's the bright yellow one, is your rear license plate light, which I can't really 100% say right now, but that's what it looks like. But we'll figure that out later. In any case, just a couple bolts here. I think 4 bolts takes this whole thing off. Actually 6 bolts, because it's also bolted here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that should be that. We're just going to remove those, and I believe they're all 10mm actually, except for those ones there. I could be wrong. So this is 10, and I believe this is, I don't know why, smaller. But do I need to remove the, there it is attached there. So we'll take and get all the 10 millimeters going right now. Once I find my ratchet in my pocket, which is a great place for me to keep it. Let's see here. Just get this going here. I say keep all your bolts just in case, but I think the kit comes with everything I need anyway, so don't really 100% need these, but it's always good to keep them. And just find the other bolt. We'll just put those aside from the rest of the hardware, and I think it's this size right here, which is it is a 8 millimeter for those, so 10 and an 8. Nothing major. Should have those. There goes my ratchet. There we go. All comes off just that simple. So again, 6 bolts, takes it all off. There was some blue or green, looks like Loctite in there. So following suit, I'll probably put some Loctite on the new Fender ones, the new Fender bolts when I put them in for the bracket there. But that's pretty much the whole thing. The kit and caboodle comes right out with it. No big deal with that. So I'm going to just go over what I have here for hardware and how it wants to go together, and we'll put the new bracketry on there. All right, now I want to go over this. Now I have made those original flashers actually work on other brackets, so I'm assuming even though it says in the kit you can't use the originals, I think you can if you really want to get down to it. It's just you have to pull them apart to do it and get down to the internal. There's a nut that like this that's in there, inside there. It's a different way they mount, but you can pull them apart and get the bolt to come, just have the bolt part sticking out, and you can actually probably mount them up to here. It's just you have to do a little bit of modification to make those work. I can't 100% say because I'm not going that route. I'm actually leaving it like this, but I did it with another pair of those exact lights on my other bike to brackets that were like these, and you can do it. You're just gonna have to modify a little bit if you want to use the original lights. I know that it might not be in your best interest to do that, and for the most part, if you're going this far, you might as well change out the lights anyway. So I'm assuming that if you're doing this, you're going to get yourself some new directionals anyway. But what you can do here is take this apart here, and this are separate. This rubber piece right here is separate, and it'll be more of a solid mount. But you can actually, there is a bolt in here that is part of the system here, and you just take this apart from here by disconnecting the clip here. It's a little bit more of a pain in the butt, but you get this clip off here and this whole piece will come out, and you can actually, I believe, modify it to actually fit on there. Now it's a bit of a pain, but you can see inside there slightly, it's kind of hard to see. There's a bolt, and if you take that off, you should be able to possibly get it to fit onto that new bracket. It is a little bit of a pain. I did have an issue with it fitting with my other bracket, but I think you can make it work if you absolutely want to use the stock lights over. But you know, it is simpler obviously to just go with a new light anyway. So all right, we got the brackets on here loosely just to just to make sure they line up, and then they told you to kind of just don't snug them yet anyway, but I'll put them a little bit tighter than this, but you should leave them loose so everything else will line up in between here and everything. Your license plate bracket, I'm sorry, the directional lights will bolt up to here. There's a little bracket that comes with them that you can put on there, and that'll take care of that. And basically they're going to be just very tight in there, and these will bolt up pretty tightly to here and here, and all you got to do is make sure you adjust for your plate. So that's that. Nothing major there, and we'll go back to wiring up everything else and getting it back in order. All right, you're going to take your old board out. You're going to take everything out with it, and you're just going to replace it with this. This takes care of everything. Now, making sure you put it in the right direction, you just bundle all your wires up together and push them through. That's what they say, that's what they want, and that's what we'll do. And that'll take care of it. Now, this is there's a lot more wires here because there's a lot more options and things you can do to it. But for now, we're just going to keep it as simple as possible because I'm not going to be using this as the integrated directional kit, so I don't need to worry about that. But now you just slide all these wires through, and some kits I guess have rubber insulators. This one does not have it. They don't need it, but just make sure whatever was here before, you keep it and stick it back the way it was. Now this should be exactly the way it was, like this. So that's it, and you just put your screws back in. Be careful not to strip them, and you should be good. Alright, so got this all back together. Got the new insulated piece on here, no problem there. You got to pay attention to your wiring here, which it does state here what it is on 12 O'Clock Labs. You got to go by the 12 O'Clock Labs booklet to make sure you get, because you're going to be dealing with all these wires. You have, because you have directionals on this light too as well, you have to pay attention to which wires correspond to that. I may actually add that with the directionals with it, so I might actually splice these with the extra within the wires with these, so these will actually connect up. I'm not sure these are the wires, I'm just using these as reference. So this will go off with the other directional lights with these, and then so I'm going to actually end up with, I'm hoping with the maybe directionals and directionals in the light. Just, I don't know why, but just because it's there, and I don't want extra wires hanging around for no reason if I don't have to. So maybe I'll do that just as an extra thing. But basically here it's saying the brake light will be the yellow or orange, which obviously in mine is orange if you can't tell. The orange is going to be the brake light. Now, or signal I should say, and then the positive power, which is the red, is going to be for the tail light. Then the ground is black all the way around, no matter what you have here. Go by the corresponding, it does show you the WR wiring, the DRZ wiring, CRF, and the WR250 Supermoto and whatnot wiring. But just so you know, this, we're just going by the WR, which on the WR, the yellow orange is going to be yellow on the WR. The brown or blue is going to be the red power connector. So this is going to be red to the blue or the brown. I think it's blue on the bike, but I'll check it. The black is black on the bike as well for ground, and the white is brown on the bike for the turn signal positive, and the blue is the green on here. The blue here goes to the green, which is a signal for right turn signal positive. So basically just make sure you get these connected with the right and the left. But those are pretty much it, and you're just going to go by the bike colors with that, and you're going to wire it up exactly with these connectors how you would normally want it. And just make sure when you're doing it with these as well that they're all done up correctly. So I'm going to actually start doing the connectors, and I think we're going to solder these ones instead of like they did the last time, so that it's like kind of all together, because I'm using factory connectors here. I think it's going to be better than just the crimp, because I don't actually have the actual crimp tool, but we're going to actually make this work the way it's supposed to with the exact connectors. This is these look like 3-wire, but they're actually for 2-wire, because that's all you got on that. But for the most part, it's going to be just a solder job of getting these connectors on, and pushing them into the connector after you got them all connected. So, and just make sure you put them in the right spot on the connector, which we will check the bike and then check here that we made sure we put it together. And that's pretty much it with that. I'm just going to do that and off camera, because it's just going to be really tedious to do. But just make sure you strip it properly and check your bike connections. And don't need to rush this part of it, because see, yellow, brown, and I have black, so it's that's that. And then over here we got black and brown, and that's not the right one, and green and black. So that's obviously black has been pretty much ground all the way around, so that's what that's going to be on everything. So your lights all going to be connected pretty much. For the signal part is going to be the odd color, and the black is going to be your ground on the directionals, it looks like, and black is ground, and yellow and the brown on the top is your brake and power for the tail light. So just make sure when you connect them up, you just get the connector wires on those connections where they're supposed to be. Double check yourself and go from there. But I'm going to take and again put all the connectors on, get this set up. I might cut these back depending on, let me check how long these are, and if I need to, we'll do that. Now, just in case you're wondering, because I think a lot of you are probably thinking, why, if that's an integrated light directional kit for the tail light, why do I want to put directionals on in the first place? Because I think I need a certain distance between each directional. It can't be that close. Even though I've seen people with integrated kits and not get in trouble, I still would rather not have the problem. I'm not really sure how big a deal it is, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to have directionals. But I'm also going to do the integrated kit with it because it looks kind of neat, and I want to try something with it anyway. But make sure you put your brackets on first before you put your connectors if you're going this route, because the bracket needs to be put on here first, or it will not fit over the connector, at least with the nut, or you're going to be scratching head why in the hell you didn't do it because you can't fit it over it. You probably could pull the pins out again with the, your pin, if you have a pin remover, but for the most part it would be a pain in the ass, and why bother with it. There are two different connectors in this that fit these. They're like the square box, and then for this it's a little bit different connector. If you can, you probably not see it in the camera, but there are two different connectors. Make sure you separate them properly so you don't get them confused, because your directionals are one and your brake light is another. So just make sure you get those pins correct before you start putting them on your here, because they're not the same. So that's just a little update before I forget to tell you that. And I'm going to get all these connectors together on everything here appropriately, and we will have this ready to go back on the bikes. Just because I kind of forgot, I wanted to show you something real quick. If you notice that the bracket here, I mean, if you take off that rubber piece, you can probably get this to work on this bracket. You may have to use a washer or something, but this insulator actually should work just fine with it. But you just can maybe come with a washer, and then you should be able to get with the bracket positioned properly, get this to fit on there with the stock one. Once it's down, it will obviously fit better, but it's a little bit of a hunkin' huge thing to sit on there, and it no longer has any flex to it if you do it that way. All right, we're already mounted up here. I don't know if it's because my bike wasn't exactly the year for the kit, but it had a little bit of problem because you're supposed to use grommets over from the old one. I don't have those. I don't know. They're not on my tail light. So it came with these rubber things, but without any kind of insulators to go in between. So I just made it work. It's on there. It's tight. It's not going anywhere. You have to finagle these to get them on there. The bolts are a little bit long that they gave you with these three. They gave you three with three rubber grommets that fit right in here. So maybe that's what you're supposed to use, but they don't have the insulators in them. And I don't know what that was weird, but I just kind of give you a heads up on that. Now I slid this back on here, and I'm ready to wire up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the connections right here with the old wire, with the old Fender, just because I forgot to check these already, and I didn't want to grab my. You could do a test light, but it's just simpler to do it this way. And with it on, left, as you can see, is I believe the gray. Yes, it's the gray. So left is the gray, black is the right, and this is obviously the plate light, which we'll have to do something with, but that's that. Okay, so we're pretty much all set with that, and that takes care of knowing which one's which, and the directions do tell you what the color coordinated do. You can check it with the test light anyway to make sure you know which one's the actual power that you need, but just recheck everything, which I will do anyway, but just for a quick reference, you'll know which one from that is which. All right, pretty much mounted up and everything. What you got to do is keep these all pretty loose, get your plate on there, get your bolts through it, and kind of bend it, move it. It's pretty solid, the metal, but you can flex it and just kind of get it to fit the plate. The light and everything works pretty good, just the way it is. I'll show you. I had a little problem of my own fault getting these connectors to work, only because I got solder somewhere I wasn't supposed to, and it made it a real pain in the ass. But as long as you solder these up nice, this new connector works great. All the connectors work great actually, and they fit nicely. And if you really want to get down to it, you can always pull, if you have pins or you get pins or not, you can always use the factory one too, but that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, again, if you want to cut, it's probably better off just cutting and splicing with the factory connector if you're going to go that route, and not buy the actual kit for the factory connections, which is pretty cheap anyway, so not a big deal. But anyway, that's how it looks. Not a bad thing. And with it on, you can see it's got an LED brake light, LED brake light, LED license plate light, and directionals work awesome, and they're integrated together. So it's kind of an interesting way, and there is a programming I'll show you in the end. I gotta kind of go through that again. I kind of read it already, but I gotta go over it a little bit better than I did. basically you can have this do different things. The rear brake light, how it is. It does do the, when the brake's not on, when the directional's not on, yeah, it does the quick flash brake, as you can see there. It's not really my thing, but again, it is kind of nice to have, I guess. Hopefully no one behind me has epilepsy and won't have a seizure and run into me, but I do like how it integrates the turn signal like that. And I think it's, I mean, I don't think it's illegal per se. I didn't really I think there is a saying you have to have the lights so far for a directional, but I'm not sure how much you have to worry about it or not. But I don't have to worry about it because it works together, and I like that, having it like this. It looks good. Brake light is pretty darn bright, even with the flasher going. You know, it's a pretty bright brake light, and when you have the integrated turn signal off, it's pretty bright all together around, and not too bad. And you can't, it is a bit of an angle on the license plate, but I stood back pretty far and you can see it, and it's not too bad. I was a little worried about the angle of the so that obviously it wouldn't hit the tire that it gives you, but it's not bad. It's out of the way and it's not going to hit, and it is solid. I have to admit, it is quite solid, more than I thought it was going to be. And those directionals work beautifully, and there you have it. If you want to just do you have to buy the upgraded 12 o'clock labs to get that turn signal to do that. But if you don't want that, you're going to have to obviously keep the turn signals here. But if you just want to integrate them, you buy the 12 o'clock labs upgraded kit, and you can make it into a turn signal, everything if you want, brake light, everything, it does it all. So in any case, that's that. I'm going to button this all up and get everything tied together and figure out what I want to do with this. I'd probably just electrical tape it. Wrap the living hell out of it, just so it's got no problems there, and we'll be fine. That's just the plate light right there. No big deal, and we'll just do something with that and tie it all together. So let me get this all back together and zip tie where it was originally, and we'll finish it up. Right, we're all back together, and you can see how tucked away it looks. I mean, you can see exactly how much we took off of this thing, and I mean, this isn't that heavy, but I mean, there's a lot to this, and it's now gone. And you're probably, if you ever hit this, you've gonna hit something else too. The rear, you know, you're gonna break a lot more than just this. I mean, this is pretty flimsy. This is all plastic down here. I mean, anybody of you, if you have one, you know, it's just full on plastic. Now you got a pretty heavy duty bracket here. The plate's not going anywhere. Nothing really moves at all. These do flex. I don't know if I like how much these can be turned a little bit. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, but I don't know if they'll turn by themselves or anything like that, but I'm going to put a little glue on them or something if really it becomes a problem. But they do flex like they're supposed to, and you have many options as far as lights go. I mean, that wasn't part of the kit. The lights I just happened to grab from the website. We'll see how they work. I haven't heard anybody complain about them, but for the most part, here we are with the brake light comes on. It does a little thing actually when you first turn it on that kind of neat. When you turn it on, I'll see if I can get it in the kind of the glass there. You turn it on, it kind of does a quick little thing like that, and you know, directional. It has modes. I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how modes are and maybe show you a little bit of that. But as you can see, it looks pretty darn cool all together, tucked up under there and kind of out of the way. And that's the upgrade with the that does that. So if you have to really if you want to have just the tail light alone to do everything, you're going to have to get the upgraded from 12 o'clock labs. But if you don't, you can just go with the standard. It's not as bright as this one, but it is pretty good, I guess. I didn't really, if you can actually go to SR Moto and they'll actually show you a video of it, and you can kind of tell the difference. But that's pretty cool right there. And brakes work pretty well. No problem there. And if you just have the directional on, it just uses a regular brake, which is pretty visible, I think. No problem with that. And I'm going to see if I can't get the program, so maybe I'll show you the different programs that it does here. Just give me a second, and I'll go through the paperwork and figure that one out. But we are pretty much complete all together. It looks good, and it runs fantastic. I did find the plate bracket doesn't fit exactly right, so you got to kind of finagle it. The lights and everything, and the bracketry for this was maybe just because this wasn't really meant for my year. This is a 2014. It will fit. You just kind of make it work. But the isolating rubber grommets don't really. They seem funny the way they work, but it's still tied in together. I use Loctite on it just to be certain. The original one had Loctite on it, so I would suggest doing that. But all in all, it's a pretty bright tail light. I don't have any problems with it. I don't think anybody's gonna have a problem seeing me. You don't have to do the integrated directional with it, but I figured I bought the extra part with it, might as well do it. And if I really don't want, if I break off the directionals, maybe I'll just leave it as the 12 o'clock labs directional thing right there, and we'll just have that, and that's it. Because I mean, for the most part, they're just extra, just to maybe make people happy that I have a full directional, and people can't say that they couldn't see my directional, because I damn well have some bright ass directionals now. And because of it just looks badass. And the front, obviously, we go back to that one with the LEDs in the front, which look really cool too. So we're full LEDs now, and I can't complain. It looks great. And now let's see if we can get some different blinks out of it and figure out how that works, and see if there's anything else I might like. I think you can get it to go faster too. We'll see what it does. Be right back. Alright, we're back, and it happens to be a brand new day because I didn't like how the video came out earlier. I missed quite a bit of stuff that this taillight can do, but for everyone else, if you're just interested in the standard DRC hardwire aluminum edge holder kit, which is pretty much the bracket and standard brake light, and whatever directionals you want to go with. Obviously, I said before, I went with the DRC Moto LED, ultra bright LEDs. You can go with whatever you want, but everything, even if you go with a entirely different kit, should be pretty much standard to the same as what I did with this. Even if you're splicing wires or whatnot, you just got to follow what wire goes where and follow how they want your bracket to go together. But pretty much everything else, as far as how it all comes apart, which should have been shown pretty well. But for the rest of this video is going to be pretty much about the 12 o'clock labs and brake light and integrated directionals, and what it actually can do as as all of its functions, because it was actually pretty neat, and what it could do. And I want to do the product justice and show you everything it can actually do. So for everyone else, if you have any questions or comments, please leave it. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And this should conclude most of that. Anybody else interested in what this light can actually do, please stand by and we'll get right into that. All right, few things before I start going through the functions of it. I just want to kind of show you a little bit about what they say about their own product here, which you can take this for whatever it is, but it is, they say, built with some of the best components you can buy, the highest quality components, I should say. It says including medical grade 500,000 hour lifetime capacitors. 500,000 hours, that's quite a bit of life expectancy of this taillight. Most likely, as long as it can take the beating on the trails, it should pretty much last the lifetime of the machine. It has 5 different flasher type settings, and it has 2 brake light settings. Now, first thing I'm going to go over with is the brake light. As you can see, standard right now, it is the flash. If you do not like that, that can be changed very simply. Go into program mode, which I believe I already kind of showed you this earlier, but just kind of turn it on, wait for it to do its startup, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Do it about 15 times. You have to do 15 times, sorry. And it'll start doing its program mode, and then just hit the brake for 5 seconds. And that should change the brake setting back to a standard brake light. All right. And now you hit the brake and it just does a standard brake. So that's how you do it. So very cool, very easy to change right on the fly. You can do that kind of if you got a couple buddies that hate that flasher, but you like riding with it on a normal basis. You can just quickly turn the bike off, turn it on, go into program mode, switch it over without ever having to get into anything. I did have a taillight on another bike that actually had that function, but you had to take it apart to flip a switch. But this does it all like that. Now, that being said, we're going to go through all the different functionalities of the directionals. These are pretty cool, different ways they work. The one you saw earlier was the half chase. You have to do it within 10 seconds, and then it'll go into program mode. Now, this is the half chase. We're going to flip it to the next one, which is the full chase. I kind of showed you this one earlier in the, possibly, I'm not really sure because I'm got a halfway edited video here, but this is the full chase. Now, if I switch it over to this is just, if I had the directional on right now, this would just have a certain, this would be the set rate directional. It just blinks at its own set rate, and the directional, actually I can probably show you just because it's, even though it's in program mode, the directional flashes its own rate, and the brake light integrated directional flashes at its own rate, and they look kind of sloppy, to be honest with you. I don't really like it, but that is one of the functionalities it has. Now, if we go into this one, which you'll notice it blinks faster, that's just telling you that it's in a different program. So what you do is you turn it off, that locks it in, you flip it on, and you should be able to see now that it blinks opposite the light. I'm not as fond of this one either because, I'll be honest with you, it just looks kind of weird. I don't know, it's just my opinion. If you like it, you know, it's pretty interesting. And honestly though, if you're doing just the tail light integrated and not doing the directional here, you'll actually have it be able to, with this being opposite, you can actually have it set to blink at the same time the front ones do, because the front ones, because I have LEDs, 2-wire system with the 12 o'clock labs running like adapter, so they actually flash opposite. So you can actually, with that kit and this together, you can actually have them flash at the same time. But with the other directionals here, they flash opposite each other. That's what that's meant to do. And the last part of that program, which is where they flash together, and I'll show you that. And that's the last one. It flashes fast. That means you're in the last part of the last setting, which is the directional flashes at the same time. Now, I've noticed it kind of seems like it doesn't flash 100% together, but it does kind of flash with it, and it is pretty close, and that actually looks pretty cool. I think you can have the directional and the integrated directional flash at the same time, and it kind of makes it kind of a, more of a bigger directional. I know it kind of sounds weird, but it does look pretty neat. And that's the last function part of the brake light. So it's kind of like fully adjustable to what you want. And we'll just switch it back to the one I like. Crap, we gotta have the directional off here. Hold on. So basically, if you didn't quite catch that, you turn it on, wait for it to do its little startup, and then you hit the brake 15 times, and then it goes into its program mode. And to lock it in, you just shut the bike back off, and it saves it. It's no way in hell after, it only lasts for 10 seconds. You have to do the 15 pumps within 10 seconds. So after that, or if you start the bike up, it's not going to actually go into any program mode. It's not, you're not going to accidentally go into the program mode. But it looks pretty damn cool under there, and I do happen to like the way this looks. I think that's just badass right there. I don't know why. It's just I'm glad I actually integrated it with it myself personally. I think it looks pretty neat. And as I said, now if I do lose a directional, I should, as long as the fuse doesn't blow, I should be able to have the directional in the light still work. So all in all, it's a pretty neat kit. That's pretty much everything. Again, any comments or questions about the setup here, just leave a comment, and I'll see if I can't get back to you. And this is actually probably my favorite thing that I actually took off right now. I do love the Zeta handguard kit, but seeing what I took off of this and now what it looks like, I just find this to be really cool. And I don't know why. I'm just really pumped that I got that on there. So for everybody else, you guys have a great day, and I'm going to go out and ride. Hells yeah.